This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Prim and Proper Sports. I am your host, Sonia Pearson. Happy Wednesday, everyone. I hope you are doing absolutely well. We have wrapped up week 11, y'all, and you see the big smile on my face. I'll get to that news here shortly. But of course, I want to thank you all for joining me on tonight. Shout out to Falcons-For, the realest real creator out there who creates all of my reels, and Brian B. Strilla Arndt, who does all of the production behind the scenes with a great theme song. Thank you so much for your likes, loves, and shares right here in the YouTube studio, YouTube platform, and Facebook on Falcons-For's live platform. All right, y'all, we got a lot of news to talk about, so let's get started. Now, we are trickling on into tomorrow night's week 13, just a few short weeks for teams left to solidify their playoff contentions. But let's back up just a little bit and talk about the recap from week number 11. Of course, that kicked us off with the New York Jets taking on the New England Patriots. And even though the Jets looked like they were going to hang in there for a little bit, they did not. Of course, that's that previous Thursday that kicked off our Thursday night football action from last week, and the Patriots dominated 27-14 over the Jets. All right, Sunday was my favorite day, guys. Just a lot of stuff. It was a beautiful day in Atlanta. Unfortunately, I did not get an opportunity to attend the normal meeting of the Panthers and the Falcons here in the city, but I'll get to that news because it's so great, so juicy. I want to make sure I break down all the stats before I get there, so I'm just going to make that towards the end. All right, more scores. Thank you so much, Buffalo Bill. Never thought I would say that to them. Looked like that game was close, and then it was not. Josh Allen went visceral on Baker Mayfield and company. Looks like he turned the oven off on him. They got the victory over Tampa Bay after a very contentious game. That score was 44-32 in the very end. Congratulations. Now the Bucks are only one half game in front of the Carolina Panthers after their win on Sunday. Told you I just couldn't help it. Sorry, guys. Jacksonville Jaguars minus Travis Hunter still for the season. Knee injury that take him out for the remainder of the season. A rookie that's injured. We'll talk about a couple other rookies that are injured throughout this podcast. But these rookies are either not conditioned, and it is an acclimation period coming into the NFL. So you just don't know if it's just not proper conditioning on the part of the player or the franchise. I'll get to that in just a bit. Of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars do get a win, though, against the San Diego Chargers, Los Angeles Chargers, 35-6. Kudos to them. Looks like they didn't miss a beat. Trevor Lawrence getting it done against another AFC rival. The Steelers bounce back from their two-game losing streak against their AFC contender. They get it done over the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, in that game, y'all, I do want to talk about an incident that I'll come back to a little bit later. It does involve Jamar Chase. There were several clips out there. You have to be kind of careful because sometimes it looks AI generated and you're like, did this guy really say this? Well, in terms, he really did say this, and his behavior on the field actually replicated the attitude that was behind the scenes when he was pressed with the press conference, little details about what's here, what's there. But anyway, I'll get to that in just a moment. Jacksonville got it done over the Chargers, and now we see the Steelers, another AFC team that got it done over the Bengals, 34-12. Aaron Rodgers has a wrist injury though during that game. I'll talk to you guys a little bit about that here shortly. The Chicago Bears, believe it or not, looked like they were struggling, y'all, against the New York Giants. The Giants almost won that game. I mean, they are now 3-9. They did not win, 2-9. They did not win that game. And the Packers, oh guys, they just do not look like the same Packers that we have seen going forward. So Packers got it done 27-20. Jordan Love still sharing some love, and once again struggling against a non-good team. You remember the Carolina Panthers, who no one believed in us, but with Bryce, they did. Came back and beat them, and everybody was shocked for it. They felt like that Green Bay game solidified us actually looking more, I don't know, playoff ready, competition, whatever you want to say, competitive, I guess. But then some people still don't really believe that. But we shall see. As a Panthers fan, I'm definitely going to say we are ready. All right, so that game went down to the wire, 27-20. Packers got it done with one touchdown. The Chicago Bears game, they actually were who I was speaking about. Caleb Williams barely got it done over J.J. McCarthy and company. This NFC North matchup, 19-17 was the final score. Heartbreaker for J.J. McCarthy, but Caleb Williams still some kind of way decides to make it work, does make it work, and they survive another L. Chicago easing on by in the NFC North 17 over the Minnesota Vikings. The Texans and the Titans. Titans look like they're getting a little bit of life here towards the latter part of the season. They barely fell to the Texans 16-13. Of course, Mr. Miller was at the helm as quarterback for the Texans, as C.J. Stroud, I believe, was still out for concussion protocol. But that game was a little closer than we thought, 13-16 in the AFC matchup. Dolphins and Commanders. Now, that game was international, kicked off Sunday morning, and go figure, just the tenacity of both of those teams. No one was really thrilled with either one of these teams. Jane Daniels is still out with Washington and will be out, looks like, for the duration of the season. And Terry McLaurin is out as well. Those are two heavy hitters in the breadth of that team. Already kind of expected Washington to lose against the Miami Dolphins. You never know which Tua you're going to get. Tua that blew out Buffalo a couple of weeks back, or Tua Tagovailoa that everyone knows is just unpredictable, indecisive, and you just never know which person you're going to get, which fan is in. Get it? As the Dolphins, which fan is in? All right, anyway, they go overtime. And in that overtime, I knew then that was going to be crucial for the Commanders. They, of course, brought back that L 16-13, and a heartbreaker field goal, of course, was the deciding factor on that game. Rams and Seahawks. Sam Darnold finally met his match. The Rams, Mr. Goff, looked like a figment of his imagination for a little bit. Looked like the Seahawks were not going to be able to come back in this one at all. They started trying to come back. They had a lead for a while. Then here comes the Rams, and it was all she wrote. It was Yawnsville. I'm gonna be honest. It looked like more of a defensive matchup, but in the end, Sam Darnold totes that L right on back to the locker room. 21-19. Seahawks fall to the Rams. A lot of divisional matchups. 49ers and Cardinals. NFC West matchup. Brock Purdy expected to be back on their next matchup next week. Monday Night Football, Carolina Panthers versus San Francisco 49ers. Christian McCaffrey. Brock Purdy is expected to be there and playing. Everybody's looking for that game because just it's all the former people meeting the newer people and familiar people, I should say. All right, but anyway, they got it done over the Arizona Cardinals, guys. I mean, the Cardinals are just not looking as if we thought they were going to look this year. Typical Cardinals, I guess, 41-22, almost double the score. the San Francisco gets through the Red Sea of the Cardinals, I should say. 22 points is what they ended up having. The Baltimore Ravens, believe it or not, looked like they were struggling against the Browns. They only won by a touchdown. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Derrick had over 100 and some yards, still struggled, and Shedeur Sanders got his debut. We'll talk about that here in just a moment with that game. But the Ravens continue to soar on, and they get it done over their AFC matchup with the Browns. The Denver Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs, that game was Jonesville, but Sean Payton, in his true style, gets it done over the Kansas City Chiefs. Y'all, believe it or not, Kansas City is 5-4. This is not the same Kansas City Chiefs that we saw 2 seasons ago. I really do believe that Travis Kelce will retire at the end of this season. I think he is going to focus on home life. You guys know he's engaged to Taylor Swift, and I just think this is it. He really is super close with his brother Jason, who retired a couple of seasons ago. Jason, of course, is doing commentary here and there on different games. And I just really believe that, they have their podcast. I think that's what he's just going to focus on going forward. And he just doesn't look like his heart is in the game. When he does make the crucial catches, he's just not as fast as he was. And I get that. Over time, our bodies slow down anyway, but he just does not look like he is anywhere near the Travis that is trying to be present for the Kansas City Chiefs. And don't get me started on Chris Jones or Patrick Mahomes. Like, it's just a different Chiefs team all around. And the score reflects that, with them struggling against the Broncos, who are at the top of the AFC West. 22-19 Chiefs fall. Eagles and Lions game, believe it or not, the Lions were declawed, you guys. They were declawed by the world champions, the defending champions, the Philadelphia Eagles, who actually had 16 points on the board, while the Lions only had 9 points. Now, that game, even though you look at the score and you're like, wow, how is it even possible that those two teams, as high a powered offense that they have, that they only scored that low of a game? Well, both defenses were very competitive. And in a Sunday night debut, the Lions were shown again that they just simply have not fit the bill of taking on the big stage for the platform of the Super Bowl or championship teams like what we see. Now, the next game we had was our Monday night game, and it was against the Cowboys and the Raiders. This is the Cowboys' first game back since their bye week and losing Marshawn Nealon, their defensive lineman, tragically 2 Thursdays ago from the team. So very emotionally charged game. Just a lot was on the line. They wanted to win it for him. All of their staff were wearing Marshawn Nealon t-shirts when they took the field, and it was just very beautiful. They got it done, and it looked like the Raiders were not even there in the second half. 33-16. The Raiders looked like they tried to come back, I guess, around the second quarter, but then that was all she wrote. They were scoreless the remainder of the game, and Cowboys go on. Dakota Rain Prescott looked amazing. Shout out to the Cowboys, because they did get it done in a Monday Night Football where the whole world was watching them. So kudos to them. All right, let's talk about the big game. Carolina came to Atlanta in an NFC South matchup, and Carolina had their cleaning tools out: brooms, dustpans, mops, and garbage bags, because we did what? Came to Atlanta and took the trash all the way out. For the first time since 2013, the Carolina Panthers have swept the Atlanta Falcons. There were a lot of star-studded Panthers in the building. 2 notables, TD, Thomas Davis, number 58, and Trey Boston. They were hanging around. They were actually doing videos before the game saying that this was, their house. And honestly, that was the last time we swept Atlanta, was when those 2 guys were on our team. So shout out to them for coming down, giving love, showing love, and getting it done, as they said. in Atlanta, guys, in a very close game. Let's be clear. Atlanta tried to fight. Third quarter, Michael Penix Jr. went down with an injury. He is ruled out, placed on the IR, and that's going to be hard for them because they are facing the New Orleans Saints on next Sunday, another divisional rival, their biggest rival, they say. And the Saints are rested. They beat the Carolina Panthers a couple of weeks ago. Then they had a bye, and now they're on to Atlanta. So they are ready with Tyler Shuck at the helm. They have not. I think they're going to go with him for the remainder of their season, and Spencer Rattler is officially benched. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I thought Raheem Morris would be marched up out of there on Sunday. It looks like he's hanging around, but all of Atlanta is calling for his head on a platter. I mean, I can't even go on any social media without seeing the algorithm send me some type of fan-driven or the local station 980, 680, The Fan here in Atlanta, sports channel, the 5 quarters, which is a post-game report that the Atlanta Falcons do with Shockley, and just a lot of people are upset. And even when Raheem was giving his presser after the game, he was speaking very fast. I felt as if he was looking over his shoulder because he was afraid that at any moment, because y'all know how Arthur Blank does, like that's what he did there in Quinn. He literally came down on the field, and all the commentators were talking about it. It was during a Panthers game, like we are the coach killers, I guess. And yeah, Raheem is not it. Everyone is calling for him to be fired. Bad coaching decisions internationally last week against the Indianapolis Colts, and then a couple of play calls that were questionable during the Panthers game. And me as a fan, I don't care because I wanted the Panthers to win. But there was one call in particular that a lot of people have been talking about. There was a touchdown that was supposedly on the line. It didn't look like it was on the line to me, but I digress. We just went back and got it anyway. But we were robbed of that. I'm just going to put it out there. Falcons are now 3-7. This is their 5th consecutive loss after falling. They had a 21-7 lead. Like, seriously, y'all, they did. They had a 21-7 lead. That's almost like 28-3, y'all. This is literally, I didn't even think about that until now. This is literally like how they were in the Super Bowl. They had a 28-3 lead over the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. So they had a 21-7 lead over us. And then we had a record-setting performance, we being the Panthers. Bryce Young. Bryce freaking Young. Poised, calm. Bryce is undefeated against the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. He's the only quarterback in Panthers franchise history to be undefeated against Atlanta in Atlanta. And I have to give him props for that, because as much as I love Cam Newton, every time we came to Atlanta, I always said this. I felt like Cam looked like he was torn because he's from Atlanta as to whether or not he was going to really play for us or what. Like, I'm serious. And so that's just how I felt. I don't feel that way with Bryce at all. And we got the dub. Okay, so the Falcons quarterback, I told you guys, Michael Penix Jr., went down, left the game in the third quarter, knee injury, and was replaced by Kirk Cousins. So we knew then, like, it's a wrap. Kirk looked okay the first couple of throws, but, he throws to the opponent. So Falcons were able to tie the game, even with Kirk in there, with a 45-yard field goal from Zane Gonzalez. They've been going through their kickers this year. And with 16 seconds left in regulation to force overtime. So we had gotten the lead. The Panthers had gotten the lead like 24-19. And they some kind of way got up there and did what they did and, tied it up. But in overtime, it was our time. Now, this is the second time I know for a fact that that's happened, because I was in another game when the Panthers went overtime with them, and that's when we basically take over. In overtime, of course, they got the first possession. They did not score. Then it's, the sudden death thing. It's like once the first team has their opportunity to score and they don't score, then the next score basically wins, and anybody can score. So once the second team gets the ball and they don't score, then it would have been anybody. But at that point, it was more like, okay, no, now the first team that received it had it. The second team now has it, and any score wins. Sudden death at that point. They be changing the rules all the time. Panthers are now 6-5. I'm so proud of my guys. Ryan Fitzgerald, amazing kicker, secured the win with a 29-yard field goal. Tommy Tremble got us within field goal range, way in there. Shout out to T-Mac, Jalen Coker, Xavier Leggett. Like I'm still perplexed on him because he's questionable now going into next week's game. But because I had just pushed Xavier onto my bench for my fantasy because every time he don't, and then he, got all these points. So number 17, the Bryce Young broke a franchise record, surpassed Cam Newton 488 yards. 448 yards, 3 touchdowns in that game for passing, pushing the meter for everybody was Rico Dowdle. Let me not forget about Mr. Rico. Now they tried to isolate him a little bit, but he was still getting it done. 19 carries, 45 yards. T-Mac, like I told you guys, 8 receptions, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns, and of course Xavier Leggett, 4 receptions, 33 yards, 1 touchdown. And our defense, Roseboom getting it done, and Trayvon Mooring, 11 total tackles for Trayvon, getting it done over it. Now, on the other side of the coin, Michael Penix Jr., who left in the third quarter, 13 out of 16 passes, 175 yards, just no comparison. That lets you know he played all the way to the third quarter. So he only really missed one quarter and part of another. And Bryce had literally almost tripled the yards that Michael Penix had gotten. Kirk Cousins, 6 out of 14, 48 yards. That lets you know how late Kirk came into the game. Only 14 passes. That wasn't a lot. Defense was all over the Falcons. So what's up to the Panthers? Shout out to the defense as well. Bijan Robinson, who you really got to roll with. Bijan tried to carry the Falcons on his back. I love Bijan. 23 carries, 104 yards, 2 touchdowns by himself. Drake London, who was coming back in from being sick. They said he was sick from the trip once he came back from Ireland. He was not well. He came into the game. Now he is ruled out for their next matchup against the New Orleans Saints as well. 7 receptions, 119 yards. And then Ronnie Harrelson for their defense, 10 sacks on Bryce Young and the Panthers offensive line. And that was just a really, really, really good game. I mean, I have to say so myself. Very emotional. Cardiac cacks, of course, as always. And that's how they do it. Bryce Young, of course, setting a new Panthers franchise record, not just a regular record, with the 448 yards in a single game passing. He may be Offensive Player of the Week. I'm going to be on the standby for that. And if he is, of course, I'll be announcing that Friday with Friday Night with the Fellas at 9 p.m. live. Y'all do not want to miss it. Falcons wide receiver, of course, Drake London had a strong game with those yards that he got, but he left in overtime with a knee injury, so that's the reason why he's questionable for their next matchup against the New Orleans Saints. And then the Falcons rushing attack, y'all, it was effective for a little bit, and it was led by Bijan Robinson all by himself, who found the end zone twice. All right, let's talk about some other news here. The Broncos and Chiefs game that I was telling you guys about, the Broncos continue to be the surprise team of the season, extending their win streak to 8 games, y'all. 8 games, a walk-off 35-yard field goal from Will Lutz. You guys remember him. And let's not get it twisted. Will Lutz used to be the kicker for the Saints. So Sean grabbed him up and took him on to Denver with him. They sealed the victory, giving them the lead in the AFC West and putting the Chiefs 5-5. Playoffs hopes in serious jeopardy. So I said 5-4 earlier, so I guess this makes them 5-5. So Rams game against the Seahawks. It was a tight defensive battle, like I was telling you guys, over the control of the NFC West. The LA Rams are now 8-2, and the Seahawks are right on their trail at 7-3. That Bills Buffalo Bills and the Buccaneers game. Can't say that a couple times fast. Bills are now 7-3, and that was a high-scoring game against the Bucks. The Bucks are still on fire. Let's not get it twisted, and that's a crucial victory to keep pace for the Patriots race with the AFC East between the Bills and the Patriots. I don't know. Drake May is looking really, really good. That Bengals Steelers game I was telling you guys about, Jamar Chase and Aaron Rodgers. So there's two stories against the Bengals and the Steelers game. Let me just tell you guys like this. Bengals receiver Jamar Chase has been suspended by the NFL. We don't know how long. It's a whole bunch of stuff still being investigated. During the game, he got into a heated exchange with their cornerback, Jalen Ramsey, the cornerback for the Steelers. And the replays appear to show him spit on Ramsey, which, of course, Ramsey has been telling everybody, in the post-game comments, like, yeah, he spit on me. Jalen is denying it. Jamar is denying it. Chase is denying it. But the league is definitely reviewing the incident, reviewing all the angles that they have on this. And one game suspension is probably going to be what's expected. It's probably going to have come out by the time this airs. But for now, this is what's going on. Aaron Rodgers left the game with what was later diagnosed as a fractured left non-throwing wrist. So that's why he's eager to get back out there. He's like, this is not even the wrist I throw with. His status for week 12 is uncertain. While initial reports suggest that his injury may not even be long-term, it's still a significant blow. He's 41. He's going to be 42 next month. And he has reportedly told everybody to basically, watch and wait. He's coming, that he wants to try and play through the injury. And I know he does because he only got 1 year contract with the Steelers, and Steelers fans are already not happy with him. So there you go. Now, I talked to you guys a little bit about Dallas playing Monday night. Of course, the organization held multiple tributes. Players wore the shirts honoring Nealon, and of course, they were wearing the number 94, his number, their decal on their helmets for the remainder of the season. The Cowboys were 4-5-1, but they were very dominant, very emotional, very dominant, and they defeated the Raiders. I told you guys at the onset of the show, 33-16. And of course, Nealon, unfortunately, unalived himself at the age of 24 a couple of weeks ago. All right, so Shedeur Sanders had a debut, guys, for the first time, and there's so many controversies around it. This is a guy who has not, they won't even mention his name. He's never gotten reps or anything to even prepare him for playing in the NFL. Push behind Dylan Gabriel. They go pick up other people. They move him around. No one ever even gets to him. Now he's finally like second behind Dylan Gabriel, who's been put first. And he has to come in because Dylan Gabriel goes out concussed. So Shedeur comes out. He did have an opening debut in the preseason. Let me put that out there. From August, he was out there against the Panthers, go figure. And he actually looked impressive. I remember a lot of people saying that that game was highly watched because he got his debut against the Panthers. But anyway, he had 14 of 23 passes during that game in the preseason and 138 yards and 2 touchdowns. But that was against our B squad. Now this is the real squad that you need to be looking for when you are actually playing the game. He looked defeated after the game. I mean, of course, they lost the game, but he didn't even get off the bench. It was videos going around of him just sitting there. And you do start to feel bad at some point, like, okay, this is still somebody's kid. Young man, kid. He's new to the NFL, and it just doesn't seem like there's anyone there to love and embrace him. Allow me to put this plug in. Michael Penix Jr., there was a video going around this week from Channel 2 Action News here in Atlanta where they asked him, who does he go to for guidance on the sidelines? Does he talk to any of the former quarterbacks of the Falcons, Matt Ryan, what have you? And he literally said he has zero support from the sideline. No one in the locker room. He said he goes home, he talks to his fiance gives him hugs no matter what, win or loss. And other than that, if he needs structure or criticism, constructive criticism, he looks to get phone calls from people he grew up with back home. And my thought was, if that's how you guys are doing it in Atlanta, no wonder you're losing. There's no cohesiveness in that locker room. There's no cohesiveness, and there's definitely no brotherhood. You guys remember a few years ago they were winning a few games, and they had this little hashtag for the brotherhood. What happened to the brotherhood, Atlanta? It's okay. I mean, I know what it's like to lose a bunch of games, but what happened to the brotherhood? If you don't have the brotherhood, that's why you're not winning at all. There's no cohesiveness in the locker room, so there will be no cohesiveness on the field. But I just wanted to plug that in there. As I get ready to wrap up here, Antonio Brown, I told you guys, former football player extraordinaire, he is in custody from Dubai, and he was extradited and all of that. And ESPN reported today, y'all, he's already been booked in Miami for second-degree unaliving by his hands, attempted unaliving charge stemming from an incident back in May. And he was released after posting a $25,000 bond. So that's good, I guess, that they, gave him that low of a bond considering those charges. But ESPN has reported that he is facing 30 years if convicted. And I believe that. I actually looked it up on a show a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, with the guys from Friday Night with the Fellas. We talked through that extensively about what Florida law is on certain charges. And it does make me feel a little better, though, that the bond was so low, because usually you have a higher bond if they're more certain. Brown, of course, comes very reputable, so it's not like people don't know who he is. He did, basically surrender himself, but they did have to go over to Dubai and pick him up. Let's be clear. He's now on house arrest and has a GPS ankle monitor. And so, yeah, that's pretty much what we have with him. Let me make sure I don't have anything else right now for you guys, but you can make sure that you join me on Friday night. Of course, we got the Thursday night game coming up here tomorrow, and I know everybody's going to be watching that on Prime. And with that, that's all I have tonight. I'll see you guys on Friday night, 9 p.m. with Friday with the Fellas. Thank you so much for watching, and y'all have a good one.